The year is 1923. Germany is in turmoil. The shadow of World War I still hangs heavy. The economy is in ruins. In this climate of uncertainty, a young, ambitious Adolf Hitler sees an opportunity. He decides to launch a daring coup. His target, the heart of Bavarian power in Munich. This event, known as the Munich Putsch, would become a pivotal moment in Hitler's rise to power. It would shape his strategies and ultimately the fate of Germany. Imagine Germany in 1923. The streets are filled with people, but there's a sense of despair in the air. The once bustling cities now seem like shadows of their former selves. The nation is wounded, defeated in World War I. Soldiers return home, not to a hero's welcome, but to a country in ruins. The war has left deep scars, both physically and emotionally. People are struggling to survive. Long lines for food are a common sight. Families are torn apart by hunger and poverty. The basic necessities of life are hard to come by. The economy is in shambles. Money is almost worthless. Children play with stacks of banknotes, using them as building blocks, while adults use them as wallpaper. The currency has lost its value. This economic crisis is called hyperinflation. Prices are skyrocketing daily. What you could buy for a few marks yesterday now costs thousands. People rush to spend their money before it becomes even more worthless. The Treaty of Versailles, signed after the war, has imposed harsh penalties on Germany. The reparations demanded are crippling the economy. Political cartoons of the time criticized the treaty, depicting it as a noose around Germany's neck. The German people are angry. They feel humiliated. Protests erupt in the streets as citizens express their frustration and rage. Newspapers capture the mood of the nation with headlines screaming of betrayal and injustice. The government seems powerless to stop the country's downward spiral. The Weimar Republic officials look distressed, unable to find solutions. The parliament is in chaos, with debates turning into shouting matches. Extremist groups, both left and right, are gaining support. The communists promise a workers' revolution, while the Nazis speak of restoring national pride. Street clashes between these groups become increasingly common. They promise simple solutions to complex problems. Their propaganda is everywhere, from posters on walls to speeches in public squares. They offer hope to a desperate population. In this chaotic environment, a charismatic leader like Adolf Hitler could easily find a following. His speeches resonate with the disillusioned masses, and the early Nazi party meetings in Munich are filled with fervent supporters. The stage is set for a dramatic and dangerous shift in German politics. At this time, Adolf Hitler is a relatively unknown figure. He is just one among many veterans trying to find their place in a post-war society that is struggling to rebuild itself. He is a veteran of World War I, having served as a soldier in the trenches. The war was a brutal and harrowing experience that left deep scars on those who survived. The war left him bitter and disillusioned. Like many others, he returned to a Germany that was vastly different from the one he had left. The country was in ruins, both physically and economically. He blames Germany's defeat on Jews and communists. This belief was not uncommon at the time, as many Germans were looking for someone to blame for their suffering and the nation's downfall. In 1921, he joins a small, insignificant political party in Munich. This party, like many others, was trying to make sense of the chaos and find a way to restore Germany's pride and power. It is called the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party for short. At this time, it's just one of many fringe groups vying for attention in a turbulent political landscape. Hitler, with his fiery speeches and nationalist rhetoric, quickly rises through the ranks. His ability to articulate the frustrations and hopes of the people sets him apart from other leaders. He discovers a talent for captivating audiences. His speeches are filled with passion and conviction, resonating deeply with those who feel betrayed and abandoned by their government. He taps into their anger, their fear, and their desperation. He speaks to their sense of injustice and their desire for a better future, offering them a vision of a strong and unified Germany. He offers them a scapegoat for their problems. By blaming Jews, communists, and other perceived enemies, he provides a simple explanation for the complex issues facing the nation. He promises to restore Germany to its former glory. This promise of renewal and strength resonates deeply with a population that is desperate for hope and direction. His message of national revival and unity begins to attract more and more followers, setting the stage for his rise to power. By late 1923, Hitler believes the time is right for action. He draws inspiration from Benito Mussolini's recent rise to power in Italy. Mussolini, a fascist dictator, had marched on Rome with his supporters and seized control. Hitler plans to do the same in Germany. He chooses Munich, the capital of Bavaria, as his target. His plan is audacious. He intends to overthrow the Bavarian government. Then he'll use Bavaria as a base to launch a national revolution. He believes the German army will join his cause. He miscalculates their loyalty to the state. Section 5. The seeds of a coup planning and preparations. In the early 1920s, Munich was a city simmering with political tension and unrest. The economic hardships and political instability of post-World War I Germany created a fertile ground for radical ideas and movements. The planning for the coup takes place in secrecy. In dimly lit rooms and hidden locations, the conspirators gather away from prying eyes and ears. These meetings are filled with hushed voices and intense discussions as they meticulously plan their next moves. Hitler and his close associates, including Hermann Göring and Rudolf Hess, meet in secret. These men, driven by a shared vision of a new Germany, are determined to overthrow the Weimar Republic and seize power. They believe that their time has come. They gather weapons and recruit supporters. The conspirators know that they need both firepower and manpower to succeed. They reach out to disillusioned soldiers, nationalists, and anyone willing to join their cause. The recruitment drives are relentless, and the stockpiling of weapons becomes a priority. They target November 8th for their move. This date is chosen with precision as it coincides with a significant political event. The conspirators believe that the timing will work in their favor, catching the government off guard. A large political meeting is scheduled for that evening. This gathering will bring together key political figures and influential leaders, providing the perfect opportunity for the coup plotters to strike. It will take place at a beer hall in Munich. The beer halls of Munich are not just places for socializing, they are also venues for political discourse and debate. The conspirators plan to use this setting to their advantage. Hitler sees an opportunity to exploit the situation. He believes that by taking control of the meeting, he can rally the attendees to his cause and create a domino effect that will spread throughout Germany. He plans to storm the meeting and take the government officials hostage. This bold move is intended to force the government to capitulate and hand over power to the conspirators. He believes this will ignite a popular uprising against the government in Berlin. The hope is that the people, frustrated with the current regime, will rise up in support of the coup, leading to a swift and decisive change in power. Section 6. The march begins, a show of force on the streets. On November 8, 1923, Hitler and around 600 armed stormtroopers surround the beer hall. Inside, Gustav von Kahr, the leader of Bavaria, is addressing the crowd. Hitler bursts into the hall. He fires a shot into the ceiling. Pandemonium erupts. Hitler announces that the national revolution has begun. He declares that the Bavarian and German governments are deposed. He takes Kahr and other officials hostage. He forces them at gunpoint to support his coup. The atmosphere is tense, uncertain. Section 7. Confrontation at the Feldherrnhalle, a turning point. The following morning, Hitler and his supporters, along with the hostages, leave the beer hall. They march towards the center of Munich, their goal to seize control of the Bavarian War Ministry. They are met by a cordon of police. The police order them to disperse. Shots are fired. The Nazis are outnumbered and outgunned. They scatter in disarray. 16 Nazis and 4 policemen are killed. Hitler himself is injured and flees the scene. The coup, poorly planned and executed, has failed. Section 8. The aftermath, arrests, trials, and a nation divided. The failed putsch has swift and severe consequences for Hitler and his followers. Hitler, along with other key figures, is arrested and charged with treason. The trial becomes a media spectacle. Hitler uses it as a platform to spread his nationalist propaganda. He blames Germany's problems on Jews, communists, and the weak Weimar Republic. Despite his fiery rhetoric, he is found guilty. He is sentenced to 5 years in prison. However, he only serves 9 months. Section 9. Lessons learned. Hitler's time in prison. Prison, far from breaking Hitler, gives him time to reflect and strategize. He realizes that armed revolution is not the way to seize power in Germany. He decides to pursue a new path. He will use legal means to achieve his goals. He will infiltrate the system, gain control of the government from within. While in prison, he begins dictating his autobiography, My Struggle. In it, he lays out his political ideology, his hatred of Jews, and his plans for German domination. Section 10. The Putsch's legacy, a stepping stone to power. The Munich Putsch, though a failure, has a profound impact on Hitler's rise to power. It transforms him from an obscure rabble-rouser into a national figure. The trial gives him a platform to disseminate his views. It also earns him the admiration of many right-wing Germans. They see him as a patriot, willing to risk everything for his country. The experience teaches him a valuable lesson. Violence alone will not bring him power. He needs to gain the support of the masses. Section 11. Conclusion: the significance of a failed coup. The Munich Putsch was a turning point in German history. It marked the beginning of the end for the already fragile Weimar Republic. It catapulted Hitler into the national spotlight. It allowed him to hone his propaganda skills. It taught him the importance of mass support. The lessons Hitler learned from this failed coup would have devastating consequences for Germany and the world in the years to come.